At the height of the steroid era, there were two pitchers that no batter wanted to face, Pedro Martinez and Roger Clemens. Pedro Martinez's best season occurred in 1999 when he hurled 313 strikeouts to go along with a 2.07 ERA and a 23-4 record. From a WAR standpoint, Clemens' best season was in 1997 when he recorded 292 strikeouts, a 2.05 ERA, and 21 wins. One might make the argument that these two had the best pitching seasons of all time given the circumstances around the league, but let's name a few more candidates. In 1971, Tom Seaver possessed a sub-2 ERA to go along with 289 strikeouts and 21 complete games. In 2002, Randy Johnson had the best year of his career as he threw 334 strikeouts to go along with a 24-5 record. In 1966, Sandy Koufax turned in 27 wins, which occurred during 27 complete games, recorded 317 strikeouts, and finished second in MVP voting. What if I told you, however, that there was a pitcher who had a season so monstrous, so savage in nature, that the MLB was forced to change the rules just for him? What if I told you this guy had the best pitching season of all time in 1968? And what if I told you that this guy's name was Bob Gibson? Born on November 9, 1935, Pac Robert Gibson was always destined for greatness in sports. The first inkling of greatness came when Gibson was given a full athletic scholarship to attend Creighton University, and the sport he was given a scholarship for wasn't even baseball, it was basketball, and he averaged more than 20 points per game with them. He then first got the attention of the Harlem Globetrotters and even played on their team for a full season before the St. Louis Cardinals got their hands on him in 1959. Gibson was shuffled in and out of the rotation for 3 years before he was officially named a member, and he made his first All-Star game in his fourth professional season. In 1964, Gibson would make the first of his 3 World Series with the Cardinals, where he would break the record for most strikeouts in a World Series by hurling 31 to go along with recording the final out in Game 7. In 1965, Gibson would reach 20 wins for the first time in his career on the final day of play and replicated the feat in 1966. In 1967, Gibson would again help the Cardinals reach the World Series, getting a W in 3 of the games, and even hit a home run in a 10-strikeout complete game performance in Game 7. The point of this video, however, is not to show off the accomplishments of Bob Gibson's career, but rather to find the single best pitching season in MLB history, and Bob Gibson's 1968 season might be just that. To give you an idea of the competitive nature of Gibson in 1968, he once faced off against former teammate Bill White in a game, and this is what happened.
It's Bill White, your colleague on the Cardinals, who said that.
Let me explain this story. The story was half right. I told Bill, we were sitting discussing hitting, and Bill White was the kind of guy that liked to go out over the plate, take the outside pitch, and pull it. The first time I faced him, I threw him a ball on the outside corner. He got it, pulled it in the hole at first base. And I said, oh, man, Bill and I had that discussion. The next time up, I threw a ball that far outside, he pulled it foul over the first base dugout. And the next pitch hit him in the elbow. It wasn't up in here, it was in the elbow. And Bill called me a bunch of names as he went down to first base, and we laughed. And after the game, we went out to dinner together. He says, you're crazy. I said, Bill, I told you. You can't do that.
Even Ozzie Smith had said that Gibson could have been a better shortstop than him if he had applied himself there instead.
You know, the one thing that I liked him, he had a great sense of humor, and he always gave me a hard time and told me that if he had played shortstop, people wouldn't even know who I was. And the funny thing, Tom, is he's probably right. That's how talented he was.
What made Bob Gibson special was his ability to throw a slider to perfection and buckle a batter's knees even when they knew what was coming. Prior to 1968, an analyst might say Bob Gibson was an average pitcher of sorts, as he had never been on a Cy Young ballot and was only doing well in the last couple seasons, but oh, would they have been wrong. The stat that jumps off the page regarding Gibson's 1968 season is his ERA, as he possessed a mind-boggling 1.12 over 304 innings pitched, a live ball era record that stands to this day, and a record I do not see being broken anytime soon. You can gauge Gibson's dominance on a couple of different scales. For example, he may have had a 1.12 ERA, but his record was 22-9 due to the fact that the Cardinals really weren't a good team and their best home run hitter, Orlando Cepeda, had only 16 bombs. You can also say that before 1968, only 13 pitchers in league history had won both the Cy Young and the MVP, but Gibson did just that in 1968. Funny enough, however, the 1968 American League Cy Young winner Denny McLain would also win MVP, and he would also face Gibson in the World Series that year. Now, the fact that the Cards weren't good and still made the World Series might reflect even better on Gibson, and they even brought the Tigers to 7 games. Prior to inning number 7 of Game 7, Gibson was having the World Series of his life, as he had a game where he struck out 17 batters, the most in World Series history, a game where he again hit a home run and struck out 10 batters in a complete game performance, and he even threw 6 scoreless innings in Game 7 before he eventually proved he was human by giving up 3 runs. Gibson also holds the record for most complete games in a row in a World Series, as from 1964 to 1968, he had thrown 8 of them consecutively. As for his other stats, Gibson started 34 games, threw a complete game in 28 of those, threw a shutout in 13 of those, and compiled 368 strikeouts in both the regular and the postseason. Even crazier is that in the 6 games Gibson did not throw a complete game, he was actually pinch hit for, meaning he had never been removed from the mound by his coach during an inning the entire season. The absolute craziest part about Gibson's 1968 season is that he himself forced the MLB to make some significant rule changes to help batters out. You can make the best pitching season argument for a numerous number of pitchers over the years, but Bob Gibson's 1968 season is too insane not to mention with the greatest seasons of all time.